Here we are. Emergency Green Bay Packers show. Oh my God. The last 48 hours since the Vikings loss at home. Wow. Matt LaFleur, no answers once again. And then some big announcements from the Packers. Oh, what the hell, dude? I don't know. What does it say to you, Ben? Packers trade away one of their best players in the whole team.
It means I got to stop buying jerseys. Oh. You got to stop buying jerseys. You buy a guy's jersey, he's gone. I buy a guy's jersey, he's gone. They're the best players on the team. What are we doing? I understand.
Those are the players I like. I don't know.
Right. I understand. I understand. The team, by the way, I'm wearing my jersey today because this is the last day I can wear it. Maybe, I don't know.
I think it also means you and I should
my Rasul jersey.
We should have bought Aaron Rodgers jersey a long time ago.
I should have bought Aaron Rodgers, David Bakhtiari, Kenny Clark, Jair Alexander. These are all the guys that need to be gone. But the problem is the Packers. We're going to get into that. Let's just talk Rasul. First of all, the first thing I'm super happy about is I will never have to listen to Andy Herman pronounce his name wrong again. Thank you, Lord.
Yes, he said it about he did a show today. 17, and he said it like 35 times
Rasul. If you cover a team, and that's your only job, because he no longer has his other job. He's now his only job is to cover the Packers. And he has repeatedly said Rasul Douglas is probably the best player on the defense, if not Rashan Gary, which stop Rashan Gary. Heads up, everybody. It's Rasul. Well, now it's Rashan Gary, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. And he still can't get the guy's name right when that's his full-time job now is to just do Pack-A-Day podcast, and he still can't say Rasul. He still says Rasul. Also, Dan Orlovsky today on ESPN, Rasul instead of Rasul. Get the guy's name correct.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point.
He's earned
We'll never have to listen to him say his name incorrectly. Well, we will, because I'm sure you'll talk about him in the future about how bad the Packers' corners are, and he'll be like, "Boy, Rasul's a lot." Or well, no, he'll say Rasul was a lot better. And I'll be like, "Who's that?" I know who Rasul is. I don't know who Rasul is, but we're not going to get into that today. Today, we're going to get into a couple facts. This team is hot garbage mess. Like it's not even good. It's not even okay, hold on. It's not even bad. Like there's something when it's a bad team, but like they try hard, right? Mm-hmm. Or it's a talentless team, but they give effort. And then there's teams that have no talent, or have talent, but they don't care. This isn't even that. This is a team with no talent, don't care, have no leadership, have no organization. And here's the thing. I'm going to apologize to Aaron Rodgers now. I still hate him. I'm still glad he's gone. Don't get me wrong. I'm still glad he's gone. But what I am going to say is he must have held this offense together for the last couple years. And Devontae Adams too. Maybe they knew something we didn't know. They might have known something about Matt LaFleur. And whenever Aaron Rodgers was asked about what makes a good head coach, he never said anything about Matt LaFleur. He talked about Rich Bisaccia and how good of a head coach he thinks Rich Bisaccia would be. And then whenever he was asked about Matt LaFleur, he would say, well, Matt's a grinder. That's what he said on Bussin' with the Boys. He said he's a grinder. He works his butt off, which means he's an idiot, doesn't know what the hell he's doing, but at least he works hard. So the question is, what's going on with that? Also, one quick thing.
Go ahead.
I've seen people say, "Oh, Goody did a good job. He got a 3rd round pick for Rasul Douglas," and I'm like, okay, we got a low 3rd round pick. You're talking like 9 in the 90s. The Bills are gonna be good. They're gonna be in the playoffs. They may even go far in the playoffs now that they have a good cornerback to pair with their excellent safety, who should be a Packer and still be a Packer, and Micah Hyde. 2 guys who we all know are good. And think about it, fans. Think about it. If the Bills were smart enough to get, Micah Hyde all those years ago and now trade for Rasul Douglas, they know who the good players are. And the Packers obviously don't because they're idiots and morons. But, so we traded a pick in the 90s, right?
We got that pick. We got that pick.
Oh, yeah, we got the pick. And we gave up a pick in the top 50 or the top end of the 5th round,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically what? Like a 40 pick swap?
Yep.
So we moved up 40 spots in like the 4th round pretty much. We got to be like the first pick in the 4th round. But we still we didn't do it. We didn't get a pick. We just swapped. We just moved up from a high 5th or late 4th to a early 4th, late 3rd. That's all we did here.
And we gave them
our best player. So if people think that Goody did a good job with this is desperation. This was not a desperation move by the Bills. This was a Goody probably called the Bills and said, hey, you guys need a good corner. We got one. Can you give us a piece of gum? And they're like, sure, here's a piece of gum. We gave them Rasul Douglas. Think about this. Christian Watson cost us 2 second-round picks. 2. Not 1, 2. So that's pretty much giving up a whole second-round pick just to draft Christian Watson.
Mm-hmm.
And what we got in return for Rasul was to jump up 40 spots in the 4th round. Listen to that, people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
We traded a 4th round pick to move up a little bit in the 3rd to get Amari Rodgers. That's us giving up a 4th round pick to move up a little bit. We gave up more to move up to draft Amari Rodgers than we got in return for Rasul Douglas. Think about that, people. You think this was a good move? This was a nothing move. We gave him away. And why? To save $6 million on the cap next year? That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we're saving.
For $6 million on the cap and here's the other thing we gave away, right, Ben? Not just one of our best players, not just one of our best leaders, not just a guy who gives a crap, but we gave away a guy who is also worked with the young guys. We saw it. We witnessed it every time.
That's why I bought this jersey.
He's there. He cares. He's trying to help other guys get better. He's not all about himself. And we also gave away a guy who made 85 tackles last year. We're going to look at his numbers in comparison a little bit, what he did in his time in Green Bay versus what somebody else did in their time in Green Bay. One guy got a bunch of money and one guy got shipped out of town. And the other part is he was under contract for next year. You know, if this is last year of his contract and you dump him off because the season sucks or your team stinks, I get it maybe because you didn't intend to sign him back. But not only all of that, but we do it at a time when we don't have any corners left who are, not even that they were good, but Jair's back and Eric Stokes is out and everybody's gone. So it's not like it's a position we're stacked at. And then on top of that, we give away a guy who gives a crap, tackles, plays hard, and almost most importantly, is always available, is not injured at a position that we have injuries all the damn time. Rasul Douglas was always available for the Packers.
I want you to share the screen for me, please. Tell me when it's up.
We'll do it. Here we go. It's up.
This is the spotrac.com, which talks about the salary cap. This is the Packers salary cap as of right now for next season. Okay, everybody? I want you to take a look at, don't worry about all these numbers over here. Just look at the cap hit for next season. This is just the cap hit. As you see in the gray, I'm highlighting them as I go, and it goes into gray. David Bakhtiari, as of right now, is $40 million on the cap next season. With a dead cap hit. So even if we just straight out cut David Bakhtiari today, he would still be $19 million on the salary cap for next year. Kenny Clark, $27.5 million on the cap next year. If we just cut him, we would save $3 million.
Wow. That's it.
Jair Alexander, $24.3 million. That is, what is that? That's 4 times the salary cap hit Rasul Douglas would have been at $6 million.
Yeah.
Is Jair Alexander 4 times the player that Rasul Douglas is? Hell no. But that's what the salary cap says next year. And if we cut if we cut Jair, we'd actually lose $3 million. So he's definitely not getting cut.
Wow.
Aaron Jones is got $17 million on the cap next year. Dead cap hit of 12, which means we'll save $5 million. Aaron Jones will not be a Packer next year, Packer fans.
Wow. And
the only reason why he was still a Packer this year was because I think Goody and the brass knew that the Packers would revolt if he would have cut Aaron Jones.
Well, he also wanted the fans to have somebody, familiar with and that they liked. And
especially with the trade, they knew they were trying to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. They were going to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. So because of that, they had to have some kind of connection to the fans that they could still get behind of a guy who's been here for a long time. Because none of these other, like Bakhtiari, but we can't trust him. Kenny Clark is what is he? Piece of crap. Jair has only been here for 5 years. Preston is a free. He wasn't a homegrown guy. So really, Aaron Jones is the guy who, for this season, they brought him back to make the fans not revolt against the entire team. And they thought they would probably win a couple games, not be as terrible as they have been. Preston Smith next year, $16 million on the cap, $13 million dead cap. Elton Jenkins, 14. He's not going anywhere. He's still got quite a few more years on his contract. Jeez. Devondre Campbell, 14, 11. Then, of course, the best one, Darnell Savage, $5.5 million on the cap next year. That's dead cap straight up. He's not even on the team. This is a ghost contract year. So what we're looking at here is this. Look at this. Back to the top. Dave Bakhtiari, we're saving $20 million by cutting him. Dave Bakhtiari will not be a Packer next year, Packer fans. He will not be. Kenny Clark, 27, save $3 million. If the Packers are smart, that $3 million savings is worth it. Cut him. He's useless. This one, Jair Alexander, we can't get rid of him. He'll be here next year. That's why they couldn't trade him. They couldn't trade Jair this year because this $27 million would hit the salary cap now. Like when people are saying, they got to trade Jair Alexander. We were talking about that last week, right? Or somebody was. They couldn't have traded him.
I think you and I are wishful thinking.
Right. The huge dead cap. The huge dead cap would hit. Part of it would be this year. We couldn't take it on. There's no way. Aaron Jones, they'll save $5 million. He'll be gone. Preston, they'll save $3 million. He'll be gone. And then Devondre Campbell, they'll save $3 million. He'll be gone. So I'm telling you right now, and these are smart moves. They better do that. They better do this. By trading Rasul Douglas, you have sealed the fate of this team and the future of this team. So it does not pay to hang on to any of these guys where you could save even a little bit of money. Let them go. Because then the next year, there'll be hardly any salary cap hit, right? But if you're looking here, you save $3 million, Devondre gone. You save $3 million, Preston gone. You save $5 million, Aaron Jones gone. You save $3 million, Kenny Clark gone. You save $20 million, Dave Bakhtiari gone. But here's the other kicker. I was watching Andy Herman earlier this week. They had Justin Mosqueda on, and he was saying that if for some reason Dave Bakhtiari can't pass his physical next offseason, if they try to cut him, he could do an injury. He could sue him for injuries and then get paid the full 40 and be hit the salary cap hit of 40. Dave Bakhtiari is stealing money. So to save $6 million on the contract next year, we gave Rasul Douglas away for a 40-point draft pick swap. Yet we've paid David Bakhtiari, $100 and something million to do absolutely nothing. Think about that, Packer fans. Think about that.
I would.
So when you hear that this was a good trade by Goody to save the $6 million of Rasul's contract, to give up, to get a third-round pick back for Rasul. No, they didn't get a third-round pick. They moved up 40 spots in the draft. They saved $6 million on the cap next year when they're paying Jair 4 times that next year. And they're still going to be in cap hell. This was not a good trade for anybody but Rasul and the Bills, which is good. I'm happy for Rasul. I'm happy for Micah Hyde because he's going to have a good partner in the backfield with him over there now. And I'm a new Bills fan. I mean, I was a Bills fan anyway, but I'm kind of iffy on Josh Josh Allen. But that defense, it taken a couple hits. But if they're getting Von Miller to come back, I think came back this last couple weeks, and now you get Rasul in the mix. The Bills could make a run, and I hope they do. I hope they make a run and they go all the way and they knock Aaron Rodgers out of the playoffs because he's going to come back and play. But I mean, why do we buy jerseys, Jace? Why do we buy him? Mom bought you the Doug Evans jersey. He was gone after that year. I bought a Dorsey Levens. Mom got me a Dorsey Levens jersey. And then he got hurt, and then they gave up on him, and they got Amon Green. You got your guy, Lukey Patrick. He's gone at that year.
He's playing for the Bears yet still.
I know. I bought Rasul's jersey last summer because he just signed a 3-year contract.
Yeah.
In less than a year and a half, he's gone. They trade him away. And the reason is to what? Move up 40 spots and save $6 million when you're already just cap strapped with all these guys who are worthless. Kenny Clark.
It's $6 million next year, Ben, right? It's $860,000 this year is what they say.
It's only costing the Bills $6 million this year. Or 600,000, not $6 million. 600,000 on their cap this year.
Jesus Christ.
To get Rasul Douglas for the last how many games of the year here? 11 games?
To get a starter, a really good player who's been super productive for the Packers ever since they let him step on the field. All he's done is produce and be available and make plays. That's all he's done. So this gets into the perplexing idea of why, because I watched part of Matt LaFleur's press conference. Actually, I was trying to go to sleep last night, so I played the whole thing. It did the trick, put me to sleep. But so I heard early on him talking about the Rashan Gary thing and all, the contract extension and all this sort of stuff. And they signed Rashan Gary to the big contract extension. Oh boy. And he says how he's earned it. He's earned it, Ben. And I'm just like, what? So, and how gratifying that was to see a guy who's worked hard, who's come in, who's come to work, who's had a good attitude, who's produced and who's earned that contract. It feels good and it is nice to see that. Well, what the hell did Rasul Douglas do? He was a cast-off. He was the guy that came in. They told him, just come be on they told him, just come sign on our team so you get an actual season in the NFL. Right? You get credited for a season by being on an active roster for a few games. You're not really going to get a chance to play. So the odds were after how many teams cut him? 4 or 5 teams cut him. 4 teams cut him. Comes in with that, no promises, promise only to basically to be cut after a few games or dumped on your practice squad or whatever. And the guy, as soon as he got a chance to play, all he did was make plays and all he did was produce and all he did was freaking save the Packers season in 21. Last year was very good in spite of what people will tell you, because we've examined the numbers.
Oh my God. If I had to hear one more time about how he sucked at slot cornerback when the numbers at PFF grade was the 9th best slot cornerback in the NFL last year of all slot corners that played at least 100 snaps, Rasul Douglas was number 9 ahead of Jalen Ramsey at number 10. But everybody said he sucked. Rasul had a down year when he played in the slot. It wasn't until he moved to the outside corner where he played better. Wrong! And how many times did he blow up freaking wide receiver screen passes, tackle running backs in the flat, freaking tackle guys in just knock balls away, took TJ Hawkinson out of the game last year, single-handedly saved games with picks and tackles all over the place. Pass breakups. What does Jair Alexander ever do?
Right.
He don't get past breakups. He doesn't get picks. He can't tackle anybody. He's freaking useless. And that guy makes 4 times the amount that Rasul would have made next year on the cap. And that's why it was funny. Last summer we talked about it when somebody asked Rasul what it's like to have Jair, who's the best corner in the league, and Rasul said, "Well, yeah, that's what everybody says he is." That's what his answer was. Yeah, I guess he's the best because that's what everybody says. That's what he said. Because he knew. Rasul knows who's the best player on the team. He knows he's the best corner on the team. Well, now he's on the Bills. And I'm so happy. I wish I could turn this green into blue. I really wish I could, but I can't. But I will proudly wear this Rasul Douglas jersey because when he was a Packer, think about this. For a guy who only played pretty much 2 years worth of games, because he showed up halfway through 2021 season, and now he's only here halfway through 2023 season. That's only 2 seasons worth of games. Think of the impact that guy had in just those, however many, whatever it is, 20, 30, 32 games worth of play or whatever. I mean, he's got to be one of the highest percentage rate of tacklers, interception getters, pass breakup guys for anybody to play during a stretch on a Green Bay Packer team.
We're going to look at it right here, Ben. Okay, can you see it?
Sort of.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what the numbers say. So, because this breaks it down into years in Green Bay. So, years in Green Bay.
And it says 3 years, but it was only a 2 year.
Right.
It was really only 2
Correct.
years of
correct.
actually
And
playing.
you can tell by the number of games. It's 36 games total. He was on the Packers.
Right.
So that's not even 3 seasons. 28 games that he got to start. 28 games he started, which is
it's not even 2 seasons worth.
Not even 2 seasons of starting. In not even 2 seasons of starting, he had 10 interceptions. Well, of course, 2 returned for touchdowns, 32 passes defended in not even 2 years of starting, 2 forced fumbles, fumble recovery, a sack, 174 tackles, 147 of those solo tackles.
That's the key. 147 solo.
7 tackles for a loss.
At cornerback.
So in 28 games, just think about that, guys. 28 games, 10 picks, 2 defensive touchdowns, 2 forced fumbles, a sack, 174 tackles in less than 2 seasons for a corner, and 7 TFLs. So that's a guy who just made plays. That's a guy who made an impact on the team. And like I said before, at a position where we always have injury problems, and we've been searching for good corners for years and drafting. That's the other part that's super frustrating, right? As a Packer fan, Ben, how many corners have we drafted? How many corners do we keep drafting?
1 million.
Because we can't get it right. We got a guy on our team that's right, and we just give him away.
The saddest part is that Goody and the Packers, like, to save face.
Yeah,
they'll tell you that Rashan Gary is worth that big contract because he was a first round pick. He hasn't been 1/10. He hasn't even been 100th the impact on the field that Rasul Douglas has been. Period. Kenny Clark, he hasn't been 1/1000th of the impact that Rasul Douglas has been on the field. Yet those guys get high paid second contracts. Jair Alexander gets a high paid second contract. Rasul had to scrape and claw his way out of the dirt, from 3 or 4 practice squads, just to make it and get a chance on a team because guys got hurt. And we had freaking Kevin King as our freaking corner number 2 after Jair got hurt.
And luckily Stokes too, right?
Well, Stokes played good that first year.
So they wanted, this was again same sort of syndrome for Lucas Patrick. All they wanted to do, they didn't want Rasul Douglas to start. Not at any point did they want him to be one of their starters, but he just couldn't let them. He forced his way onto the field, or forced his way into the starting lineup once he got a chance to show him what he could do on the field. And so they couldn't not start him. He was too damn good. And I just wanted to bring this up too, because this was the other big news of the week, which was Rashan Gary signed the big fat contract. And we talked about that. And this is what he's done. And again, just put this in your own mind. Try to make sense of this. We just showed you what Rasul Douglas did in less than 2 seasons on the Packers. And he is given away, not rewarded with big money, rewarded with enough money to stick around, and then given away for nothing. Rashan Gary as a Green Bay Packer. Okay. His whole career has been Green Bay Packers. 63 games, 32 starts. So way more games and more starts than Rasul Douglas. And what has Rashan Gary done in 32 starts, which is 2 seasons? He's got 3 passes defended, 3 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries. That's all respectable. 27 sacks, 150 tackles. Now, why is that guy worth $27 million?
He's got 28 tackles for loss.
Well, that counts.
Does that include the sacks too?
Yeah.
So he got 1 tackle for loss that wasn't a sack?
Yeah. Sacks getting looped in there as tackles
That's
for loss.
hilarious.
Now, I know he's got 60. So I'm not, and again, I'm not saying Rashan Gary's a bad player. We've on this show, we said Rashan Gary is a good player and we like him, but
Well,
he is not top of the league edge guy 100%. And why does this guy get $100 million? And why does Rasul Douglas get given away? Because this guy was drafted in the first round by the Green Bay Packers, and Rasul Douglas was a guy they picked up off the scrap heap. And so they want to be right, Ben.
and you know what's going to happen
ego
now?
and all that stuff comes into play, pride and ego. And this is a pride and ego giveaway because he wasn't a guy that Goody drafted.
You know who else is tearing up in Seattle right now? Jaron Reed.
Of course
Jaron Reed is a guy we could have signed back and had an impact on this team if he wouldn't have wasted money on Kenny Clark. But he's over in Seattle doing great, and guess what? They're winning games. And he's part of that team winning games. He had 3 or 4 sacks or something in one game the other day. I heard about it. I was like, what the crap? And he went nuts. With pressure up the middle. Does Kenny Clark get pressure up the middle? Hell no. I could show you multiple plays where he does nothing. And by the way, I am going to.
Hey,
Friday night, I am going to have some video. And I am going to show some video. And it's going to be eye-opening, people. I am tired of just talking and not giving you visual evidence. I showed a little bit last week. I showed 2 plays. I am done being nice. I'm done. These high-paid guys, these core players that the Packers have.
Core players.
We lost our one and only core player besides Aaron Jones, but he's always hurt. Or at least they don't play him. I don't know what's going on with that. But now I'm not upset with the fact that he got traded because I know he's in a better place there with the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make more production. He's going to be on a winning team. He's going to be happier. I mean, I watched his interview from after the game just now today after I heard he got traded, and I watched it and I'm like, man, he's messed up. Like he was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. And they're like, he's like, I'm not a vocal leader. He's like, but guys come up to me and ask questions because I guess, I know what's going on. So they want to know how I do things. And maybe and he said, he's like, well, maybe I got to be more vocal. I don't know. He's like, I'm going to stay here a little later tonight. I'm going to talk to my position coach and see what he thinks I should do. And think about that. They traded away a guy who was willing to hang around. He wanted to stay late yesterday. And that's the other thing. We've always seen him stay after practice. The couple times we've been to practice in last offseason and this offseason, Rasul stays late and works with the young guys after everybody else leaves and goes back to the whatever. Rasul stayed and worked with. The reason why I bought this jersey was because Rasul was working with Jean Charles, trying to make him into something. Didn't work. The guy stinks. And then now this year he was trying to work with Valentine and help him out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the kind of guy he is. What does Jair do? Dance around, do his gritty. After when they talked to him after the game, he said,
Did you see
that guy sucked. He got lucky. Blah, blah, blah.
Did you see his interview? I don't know.
It was a good play. They lined him up at running back, and then it was a good play. No, you got your ass beat. You got your ass beat, Jair. You got your ass beat when you came back and played against the Raiders. You got your ass beat again yesterday or Sunday. You're a piece of shit. You're a punk ass bitch. That's what frickin' Jair Alexander is. Rasul was a man. He took on responsibility. He helped his frickin' teammates, and he frickin' tackled and made plays on the field. Jair's more concerned about his money, talking about how great he is, than he is about actually doing his frickin' job. He can go, but he can't. He can't go. I just showed you. Even if they get rid of him next year, it's going to cost us $3 million just to get rid of him, and a total of $27 million on the salary cap because his contract is so stupid. Because they paid him as a highest, greatest player at cornerback when he got his contract. Because everybody has to be the highest paid on this team for some reason when they're not even good. That's why I was surprised that Gary signed for less than the highest price, which is, well,
right.
I'm not really surprised because he hasn't proven anything. But at least they kept him down a little bit, but still way more than he deserves.
Yeah.
But what's the point of that? So now we have a bunch of pass rushers who are good at pass rushing.
Are they that good, though?
Well, I mean, they're decent.
I mean, they're good.
Gary and Igbari, freaking Van Ness, Cox coming off the edge. Those 4 guys in the future, that's a solid unit for the next couple years. That's not
yeah,
even a
but
bad unit. But what I'm saying
um,
is, you got all this money into those areas or draft picks into those areas, and we
yeah.
talked about it. They had 4 inside linebackers on the team. Well, Devontae Campbell is not going to be on the team next year. So what are they going to do there? They got no safeties. They're going to be paying $5 million on the salary cap for Savage next year, even though the guy is not going to be here. Even if he comes back and signs, that $5 million is still there. It's not like that goes away. Like if they sign him to a contract extension for cheap, like let's say he makes $2 million a year on his contract extension, that $5 million is already his. They gave it to him when they took his whatever option. Yeah. So that's already gone, paid for, and it's already on the salary cap for next year because he'll be cut, and then that's a ghost year. Then all that ghost year, because they put the ghost years into the future, 1 point something million for every year, including this year. So that's 4 more years of ghost year of 1.4 million or whatever, all combined into next year's salary cap that hit at 5 million. Because that's what those ghost years. As a matter of fact, Rasul's ghost years are going to hit us next year too, by the way. Because he has a couple of ghost years coming into the future too. I looked at the salary cap when I was showing you that thing there. I looked into the future, 2025, 2026. Rasul is still on the books for 2027 because they redid his contract this year, and to give him to give Packers some salary cap fluctuality this year by giving him like $1 million or 100. I think it was like 60 or 600,000 or 300,000 every year, ghost year, spread it out over the next 4 years to try to bring it down. So we're still going to be paying for those ghost years for next year.
Jeez. I have a couple of questions for you.
Yeah. What?
So, I mean, what kind of message, does this send to guys like Rudy Ford, to guys that weren't drafted by the Packers, that have come in, found their way in the starting spots, busted their ass? Keyshawn Nixon, these guys.
Well, I'll tell you what it says.
What does it say to them?
I'll tell you what it says. It says, you're going to get an opportunity here to play. And when you play well. Put on film what your best foot forward. Do your best on the field, because some team will recognize it. Somebody is going to want to get you on their team because you produced on the field for the Packers. The Packers aren't going to value you. They're dumb. But there will be a team that will value you, and they will come and get you. The Bills came and got Rasul. Now, they didn't have to give up anything for him. A 40-pick swap was what they gave up.
I first saw this, Ben, when I first saw the trade, I just glanced at it, I thought, and this was when I was a little bit better with it. I thought they had got a third and a fifth for him. That's what I thought they got.
That would make more sense.
And then when I saw they got a third and gave him and a fifth, I was like, what in the hell is this? How is anyone spinning this to be good? It's not it'd be good whatsoever.
Like if he hadn't, like, let's say he was making $7 million on the cap that the Bills would have to pay, and his contract was up after this year, then you do a 40-pick swap. But no, he's signed for 2 years. He's only $600,000 on the cap of the Bills right now. They gave him away. For nothing. So what it tells the Packers players on the team this year is, our team sucks. You guys suck. And here's the big eye opener for me. Matt LaFleur better wake up and figure some shit out. Because if he wants to save his job, he better put Sean Clifford in the game. He better put Sean Clifford in the game. Because they're not going to win a game the rest of the year if it's starting Jordan Love.
Yeah,
they're not.
Come on now. Hey, come on now. What this says to me is that if you're a Green Bay Packers draft pick, hey, you got it easy, man. You can play so, and we'll sign you back.
A high draft pick.
Yeah. You can be average, and we're going to pay you like you're really good or you're one of the best. So, but if you weren't a Green Bay Packers draft pick, well then, it's a razor thin margin here. Like,
listen,
you make one mistake, you're yanked. You do anything else, you could be
only
gone.
the high picks, Jace. Micah Hyde was a fourth round pick who busted his ass and was awesome, and the Packers gave up on him. Now that was before Goody showed up as GM, but look at MVS. MVS busted his ass and blocked like a mother farter every single game, sometimes getting 0 targets from Aaron Rodgers, yet still busted his ass and was not respected at all. Got $10 million a year to go to the Chiefs, which is like nothing at wide receiver right now, especially for a player, with that kind of speed.
And he had better hands than Christian Watson, I think.
Way better hands than Christian. He's better than Christian Watson. MVS is better than Christian Watson, period. He just is. If they would have used MVS on end arounds and stuff like that, he would have done just as good as Christian Watson did last year.
God.
And the other thing is this. I'm wondering about TJ Slayton. I think
TJ Slayton is really
I'm wondering
good.
if this is just his third year, right? I think it's just his third year.
I got to look him up. But he has turned into, in my estimation, he's their best defensive player.
Are the Packers going to pay him money?
They better.
But they already got a first round pick in Devontae Wyatt on the team.
He's better.
And they also have Kenny Clark's exorbitant contract on the team. I'm telling you right now, TJ Slayton will not be a Packer if his contract's up after this year. He will be let go because they will not even offer him a contract, even though he's one of the best players on the team. Now, he might only be in his third year, though, so I can't remember exactly how many years he's been around.
I'm looking it up.
Okay, look it up. But what I'm saying is this. The first round picks, the Packers will overpay. And those are the guys that need to be impact players, and they are not. None of them are. And the only guy who ever got paid that was a late round pick was Aaron Jones. He's the only guy I could think of. Well, Dave Bakhtiari. So, yeah, I guess Dave Bakhtiari and Aaron Jones are two guys, fourth round and later, who got a second contract with the team when they deserved it. They did deserve it. Bakhtiari deserved that contract. He did.
Yep. This is
Unfortunately, he got injured.
His third season.
Okay, well, we're lucky. He got one more year to be awesome. And maybe Kenny Clark can be gone after that year. And then TJ Slayton and Devontae Wyatt will be our main D tackles. I don't know. And then probably have to draft a couple guys.
And I know the Vikings offensive line is still not great, but he looked awesome against them. And he's looked really good. He's looked really good this season. And he was coming on last season. So but from midpoint last season to now, he has really showed up. And wasn't he the guy that was converted from an offensive lineman to a defensive lineman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's crazy. He's doing 5th round pick, 173rd pick overall in 2021. He's 6'4", 330 pounds. He's a big guy who can move and is impactful. And that is the most disruptive type of player you can find for your defense. He is way more valuable than all these other guys they stuck money into. They need to sign him, and they need to do it. They got to get it before that contract is up next year.
They probably won't.
Because if they wait and he balls out the rest of this year and starts playing that way next year, his price tag is going to go up big time. But, they sign other guys right away.
Bottom line is this.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you're going to say something?
I'll get to comments in a little bit, but you go ahead and then I'll get to some comments.
I was just going to say when I showed the salary cap stuff earlier.
Yeah.
This move to trade Rasul today, and it's obvious. Number one, it's the only guy they could have traded that had any value whatsoever. Because
that's the other part, right? Because he's one of the only guys any other team actually wants.
Yeah.
That's tradable. Yeah.
And next year, if they don't get rid of Bakhtiari, Aaron Jones, unfortunately, who I love to death, but $5 million saved on a salary cap, Preston, Devondre Campbell, and hopefully Kenny Clark too, even though they're only going to save $3 million with that one. But all those guys should be gone. They're all shit, except for Aaron Jones. He's good. And Preston is okay, but he is not worth $17 million and all, whatever he's making. It's just, come on, what are we doing here? But those guys need to be gone. If this is going to be a complete rebuild, and this is now it's a rebuild, everybody. This summer we thought it was just a retool because they kept all these older guys. We had guys like Rasul on the team, who was a good, solid veteran who could make plays, and we hope that the young guys could step up and do something. But the biggest flaw with this team is the draft and develop when you don't have coaches who know how to develop any players. And that's another reason why Matt LaFleur better look out. And somebody said something real quick. Somebody said something about what LaFleur is going to do is to keep his job, he might have to get rid of a bunch of guys and replace assistant coaches. And then I think it was on Andy Herman that just miscaved the guy, and he was like, "What assistant coach is going to want to come to be a lame duck coach with Matt LaFleur? LaFleur's going to be on the hot seat next year. What good assistant coach who can actually teach and develop a player is going to want to come here with a hot seat coach? Nobody. So number one, he would be LaFleur by cutting guys and coaches and replacing them. trying to make them the scapegoats, and then try to have to find somebody to replace them who are better than them when they know that before to be on the hot seat, it ain't going to happen. And with all that being said, I'm convinced that this is the end for Matt LaFleur. This season is done.
Oof. This
And
season?
if yes, and if they don't win
Man.
on Sunday, I'm almost thinking I would say he deserves a chance to get through the season. But if they don't win another game the rest of the year, he will be fired. And he should be fired. He should be fired. Because the way this team is performing on the field is a travesty. It's ridiculous. You don't go from being a 13-win team just 2 years ago to this disgusting garbage pile that they are now if your coach is halfway decent. And you can't tell me these guys are that terrible at football. And if they are, then Goody should be gone too.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead. Go ahead. Say what you're saying or whatever.
Well, I mean, did you happen to watch the game last night or some of it?
No, I didn't see any of it.
Well, Dad and I watched second half. And if you watch the way the Lions play versus the way the Packers play, it's dramatically different. They don't play scared. They play aggressive. They have football play. They draft and sign football players. Tough guys. The Packers and Goody and I think Ted Thompson, they're all obsessed with trying to find the next superstar at a position.
Yep. Yeah.
Rather than identifying what their team holes are and needs are and and not even just about holes and needs. How can you fill out a quality team? They don't worry about that. They look at athletic ability. This guy, wow, if he turns into what he could be, reaches his full potential, we might have the next superstar edge rusher. We might have the next superstar corner. We might have the next superstar left tackle, whatever it is at the premium positions in the NFL, the dumb premium positions that don't impact the game sometimes unless they're at that super elite level. Well, the chances of them being at super elite level are minuscule. So the Lions said, hell with all that. We draft good players who like football, who are fit our scheme, who are aggressive, and then we see our holes, and we're going to draft guys to plug into those spots because we want to draft players that will be put on the field, not that they're going to be stacked up in a position group like outside linebacker, because one of them might hit and be the next superstar, maybe. And look at the way the Lions play. And look what they've done. They had a plan. They stuck to the plan. Look at that team. And they're physical and they're tough. And they built up the offensive line. That's the other part, man. People are going to come and be like, well, Aaron Rodgers, you got rid of him. Look what happened. No. That's not how this happened. The offensive line was already turning to garbage. Right? And here's another case in point. How they kept sticking Rasheed Walker. They did this with Royce Newman. He was a rookie. Royce Newman's going to start. Royce Newman's going to be in there because he might develop into a better player, right? We want to develop that young player. Rasheed Walker, clearly not a better player than Yash. Clearly not. But he's in the game. This whole time they've been pushing him in the game to the detriment of the team. He's not helping Jordan Love out. He's not helping the run game out. They finally put in Yash in his last game, and they did better for a while till he hurt his foot. So this whole obsession, this whole idea of developing the young players, of getting, the next great guy or the guy that might turn into something, that's what's put the Packers in this pickle. And now they continue. If the guy shows some flashes, they sign him to a huge contract. So this could be bad for a while, everybody. Just giving you a heads up. This might be bad for a while. We'll see. There's still a chance to rebuild it and rebound it. But the Packers have to change their strategy and change their focus and stop chasing athletes to draft and start drafting football players. Sorry, that's my whole take on this. Oh, one other thing. Sorry, before I let you jump in. One other sad note about this trade is that it was noted, and I think Jordan Love said it, coming off the field after losing to the Vikings, Rasul Douglas was talking to him. He and Rasul Douglas are walking off together. Somebody asked him what he said to him. And Rasul was telling him that, yeah, man, I mean, I know we're losing here, but we're not that far off. We're close. We're not that far off. And they were
No, they're
talking,
far, but they were both wrong.
but they were talking about
Rasul's crazy. I know they were
ways
talking. Rasul's crazy. He thinks that.
well, sometimes it is a tiny difference, right? It is a tiny difference between success and failure
Dude,
on a play.
they can't freaking complete a pass. They can't score a point in the first half. They can't even get a first down until 6 minutes in the second quarter, and the fans mock
Either
cheer
way,
because they get a first down.
I know
They are freaking delusional if they think that they're close. They are not close.
What I'm saying is you also just got rid of a guy who was trying to hold shit together for you.
Well, yeah, but if you watch,
I don't know where this
yesterday, he doesn't know what to do or where to go. Even he was at a loss for words on how to hold the team together.
Where does
and the
this
reporters
team go
kept
from
asking
here,
him,
then?
"You're a leader. What can you do as a leader?" And he's like, "I don't know what to do." He's like, "I've never really been a leader." I'm like, He's a guy who could barely get on a team. Now 2.5 years later, he's the leader of the team when he couldn't even get on a team just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about this freaking makeup of the team? The guys on this team. We have nobody. Actually, I'll say this. Rasul, in his interview, did talk about Quay Walker. He said, Quay Walker's like me. He said he thinks he's responsible. He think Quay's talked to us because they asked the reporters, said, well, it took us a while to get in today. Did you guys have some kind of, what was spoken about here in the locker room? Because, we got in here later than usual. And he's like, nah, Quay kind of got together with everybody and talked to us. And he said he took ownership. He's like, if I should have made that pick in the first quarter, and I would have, maybe if I returned it for a touchdown, it would have changed the whole game and would have given us some life. And he's like, and Quay took it hard. And they were like, well, that's kind of nice to see. And Quay's like, yeah, Rasul said, yeah, Quay's like me. He's really hard on himself. He thinks, man, if I could have done just one thing better, maybe we could have won. Maybe we could have done it better. He's like, Quay's like me.
And he gives a shit.
Right. That's good. At least we know we have Quay Walker on this team who gives a crap. He's no Rasul, like as far as play on the field, though. He doesn't have the impact that Rasul has. But at least he gives a crap, unlike Kenny Clark and Jair and all these other guys. And so that's at least one thing that Goody got right that we never saw coming was drafting Quay Walker, who I think maybe could be something because he actually does give a crap. And Rasul gives him a seal of approval. Because think about that. When they ask Rasul about Jair and his highest paid corner, he says, yeah, well, that's what everybody says. Not, yeah, he's like me. He's good. No. But Quay Walker, he says he's like me. So now maybe Quay Walker's my new favorite guy because of Rasul. The seal of a Rasul, not seal of approval, seal of Rasul.
Did you also see that? Did you happen? I looked at the box score and I was astounded.
TJ Slayton?
Devondre Campbell had 14 tackles somehow, Ben. Do you remember a single one?
No. How many tackles did TJ Slayton have?
I think he had like 9. Yeah.
He had 9.
Yeah.
So TJ Slayton and Devontae Wyatt had 23 tackles between the two of them. And the Vikings ran for less than like 2.1 yards per carry. How many tackles did Kenny Clark have in this game?
Yeah, that sack when Kirk Cousins got hurt.
That's right. Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles so that Kenny Clark, who of course got zero push up the fucking middle, fell right down in front of him, and then he got a sack. That's how Kenny Clark gets his sacks. Because he doesn't do shit. I'm going to expose that guy. I'm done. I don't even know if I'm a Packer fan anymore.
Devondre Campbell, too.
This is going to be
14 tackles, but I think I remember one of them. Like, how many of them were 8 yards downfield after the guy that got a first down?
Why are they having all these tackles?
I don't know. Because they're on the field so long and they can't get off the field, which is another problem. Which, we'll talk about the game later, but the other thing that probably drove Rasul nuts is what the hell they're playing off 10 yards on 3rd and 5. Like, and what are these defensive calls? What are they doing? Nobody understands either what they're supposed to do or it just doesn't make any sense. And I was watching the game with Dad this week, right? And I said the thing that I say a lot, I know, but it's the main question I have on almost all of these third downs. And I'm like, on this defensive call, are you just trying not to give up a touchdown? Or are you actually trying to stop them from getting the first down? Because if your third down call is not trying to stop them from getting the first down, that's a dumb fucking call. Excuse my language. But because it seems like most of the time, all they're trying to do on that play, the whole point of it is to make sure we don't give up the big play here on 3rd and 5. What good is that? What does that do for you?
Well, Rasul talked about that in his interview
Did
yesterday
he?
after the game.
Gosh,
Monday,
I gotta
Sunday
go
after.
watch that. I didn't see
He
it.
was not happy because he was like, we can't be giving up these third and longs. He's like, what are we doing? He's like, I don't know what's going on out there. And here's the thing that I'm going to think about. If I was a player on this team, I would start. I'm thinking the coaching staff not going to be around after this year. So I would start putting some freaking flash plays on tape. I'm going to start taking some chances. If I'm Carrington Valentine, well, he's a rookie. He'll never do it. But
That's how you get paid.
if
That's how you
I'm
get
Rudy
noticed.
Ford and I'm Keyshawn Nixon, screw this, man. I'm going for stuff. I'm going for a sack. I'm just going to blitz on my own. I don't even give a crap. I'm going to freaking start just jumping routes, and it's going to be a mess. Because these guys, what are they? They're only on the team for one more year. What's the point?
Are they going to replace them with somebody? Who the hell do they even have? They don't have any defensive backs. So yeah, those
Right.
guys could just
At least go out there and
Go
try
for
to
it.
make a play.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious that Barry just wants you to sit back and let everything happen in front of you and then go tackle. We got a lot of tackles, but not a lot of plays being made on the team. That's great. Devondre Campbell had 14 tackles, and Devontae Wyatt had 14 tackles, and TJ Slayton had 9 tackles. Now, though I think the Devontae Wyatt and TJ Slayton tackles are actually good, but the Devondre Campbell ones, what are we doing? I don't know. How many tackles did Rashan Gary have with his $107 million contract? I wonder how many tackles he had on Sunday.
like 2 or 3 maybe.
Yeah, we're paying 2 tackles for what, $5 million a game. I don't get it, but sure, let's pay these outside pass rushers a lot of money, even though they really impact the game not at all.
Well, and that's what I said to Dad. I'm like, look, Dad, because we're talking about it and the strategy, and I'm like, you have conceivably, this is what you have. You have a number 12 pick in one draft, and you have a number 13 pick in another draft, right? That you took these crazy athletes, whatever, super strong, impressive, blah, blah, blah. Those guys should not just be good or have, look like the bright future. Those need to be 2 dominant players who are consistently wrecking the game. And because a lot of teams have like one star guy, and then the other guy's kind of like pretty good or okay or whatever. This is 2 top 13 picks that can be lined up on opposite sides. Those guys need to be destroying the game. And the Vikings passed a bunch in this game. Where the hell were those guys? The production, the output, it's just not there from a 13 and a 12 pick. I don't know. So unless they turn into that in a very short order, like I'm talking about later this year, you see signs where, if anybody passes, Rashan Gary and Van Ness are in their face all the time, then it's not worth it because they can't impact the game. They're not good enough. They're not dominant enough.
Nope.
They need to be dominant. They're not. TJ Slayton looked pretty dominant this last week, and he's looked really good for a while. He is worth signing back.
So, today is a sad day. Today is a day of, it's bad enough the team stinks, but it's obvious now that Gutekunst is giving up on the season. And now I would hope that then next year, the offseason, like I said, we get rid of those 4 guys. And probably Aaron Jones too, because his contract's going to be, they'll save $5 million if you cut him, which is sad. And which is why people keep saying that the Packers are, they said they're in the running back market for trades. Because I don't think they're not signing back A.J. Dillon. And I'm pretty sure they're cutting Aaron Jones. This team, I'm telling you, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah.
It's really crazy to see how young this team is, how there is really not much football player talent. Like there's
Mhm.
athletic talent, but not football player talent
Yeah.
on the team. And it really shows like just the difference between Sam Laporta and Luke Musgrave.
Mhm. Yep. 100%.
Sam Laporta is a route runner, a hands catcher.
Yep.
Uh Now the reason
Blocker.
why I didn't want them to draft Sam Laporta was because I thought he was too close to Josiah DeGuara as far as like skill set. He's better.
Mhm.
He's better than Josiah DeGuara. First of all, he's way better. But his skill set is basically Josiah DeGuara's skill set, just with a little more speed. Um, but Musgrave doesn't have the impact that Sam Laporta has. Now, Sam Laporta was drafted ahead of him, so it's not like we could have. I mean, we could have had him if we would have traded back, or I don't know what. But that's besides the point. But it's just showing what the Lions have done with him as a rookie tight end
Yeah.
and the impact he's had on their team, where he's become like their number 2 threat right now. It's like St. Brown and then it's him. And he's a rookie tight end, and he's out there freaking catching balls left and right and making things happen. And our guy, like, they're trying to use Musgrave like he's Sam Laporta. They're trying to run these quick 5-yard outs. They're trying to do stuff like that. No, Musgrave is a downfield seam guy. He's a Mark Chimura. Send him down the seam, big tall guy. The only time why he's not used in the red zone more. And if I have to see one more gosh dang fade to freaking Romeo Dobbs, the freaking from the red zone, this is not a 50-50 ball. It's a 30-70 ball. It's a 20-80 ball. It's a 20% chance of being successful. And you're taking everybody else out of the play. It's a quarterback, wide receiver, two guys on the field making a play to try to make it work, and it's not successful enough to work. Now, granted, this team can't even get probably 6 guys to do the right thing on a certain play, much less 11 guys to do the right thing on a certain play. So I understand, hoping that maybe those 2 guys would do something to make it work, right? And maybe that's where LaFleur is at right now. He's like, man, I can't trust any of these guys to do anything right. My only hope is that the quarterback and the wide receiver will be on the same page and we can score a touchdown here, because obviously our guys can't work together. That must be the thing on offense. But this offense is pathetic at best right now. It's probably the worst offense in the NFL from a schematics point. From a talent point, it's not much better. You might say
they're not using guys to their strengths, right? Like you just pointed out with Musgrave. Why wouldn't you split him out? Why wouldn't you split him out and try to get a matchup on the outside against
They did in the preseason. When the PFF guys, there's the 2 PFF. I don't know if you watch PFF, whatever. They got Sam Munson and the other guy, the big tall guy with the crazy jury curl. I don't know what his name is.
I don't know.
He's like 6'10", and he whatever. Anyway, these 2 guys do a podcast. They went to they're stationed out of Cincinnati, so they went to the Bengals Packers joint practice, and then that next day they had their podcast and they talked about it. And they're like, man, Luke Musgrave is lined up all over the place. He's lined up a wide receiver. He's lined up in the slot. He's lined up over here. One time he was in the backfield. He was all over it. He was tearing up the freaking Bengals defense. He's like, and the Bengals defense is supposed to be good. They're like, I'm buying high on Luke Musgrave. That's the reason why I drafted Musgrave in the draft, because of their report from that particular joint practice where the Packers used Musgrave in all these different ways. Have we seen that at all in any of the games?
No, we see him go to the flat or catch a screen pass when he can't get started fast.
We had one time where he went up the seam and was between the 2 safeties, and Love overthrew him by a mile. Otherwise,
and we had a couple other times where he ran up the seam and drew like 3 defenders and made an easy like 20-yard in cut for somebody else, which is how they should be using him. But they don't.
It's kind of ridiculous. Like I don't think. Listen, I'm gonna say it. I'm out on Matt LaFleur. He needs to be gone. And I'm not a guy who wants to cut guys. Like all I know is this: McCarthy got fired. A Super Bowl winning head coach got fired for far less than what this team looks like right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to deal with a prima donna, diva baby quarterback throwing the ball away 50 some times on third downs during that season and tanking the team just so he look even worse. This team looks bad, and we don't have guys tanking. We have guys, they don't have a clue what the hell they're doing out there. Apparently, Zach Tom had to tell John Runyon he went the wrong way on a play. That's what they were talking about earlier this week, or yesterday, I heard. John Runyon, a fourth-year player, went the wrong way, and he had needed Zach Tom to tell him, dude, what are you doing? You went the wrong way. Really? Zach Tom? Zach Tom, after the game, said, we're not prepared. We're not prepared for games. That's what he said at his locker. He said, we are not prepared to play in games. Well, that's coaching. And it comes all the way back to Matt LaFleur. And like I said, he can't replace coaches. Who's going to want to come? A good coach is going to want to come and be a position coach on a team with a guy who's on a hot seat. No good coach is going to want to come do that.
Right.
So the only choice is for the Packers to get rid of Matt LaFleur. It needs to happen. I hate to do it. I think he's a nice guy. But the bottom line is this guy does not know how to develop players. And if you're going to be a draft and develop team, which is what the Packers have been, which I think is dumb, I would just rather be like the Lions and just draft good players who maybe aren't superstars, but they're damn good. And they win. And you win games. When you have an entire team of good players, you can beat a team that has one or two superstars and a bunch of scrubs. Because that's what our team is right now. One or two superstars with a bunch of scrubs. And then if our superstars are underperforming, we're garbage. We're shit. And that's what we are right now. Complete shit. Where the Lions have a bunch of is Equanimous or I'm on Ross St. Brown. Is he even like a top 30 wide receiver in the NFL? No, because he has no speed. He doesn't scare anybody.
He's tough,
man.
And he's good.
He's tough. He's good. He's solid. He runs good routes. He's got good hands. He busts his ass. Those are all things I would take in a heartbeat over any player that we have in our wide receiver room right now. Sam Laporta, damn good player. The whole offensive line of the Lions. I mean, they're just a team full of guys who work together and are pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. And their defense has got a bunch of pretty good guys too. And if they still had Gardner Johnson on their team, he got hurt after like the first couple games. He was tearing up for the first couple of times because they got him from the Eagles, and he was coming with the Lions, and he looked amazing the first couple games. But then he got hurt for the whole year. Can you imagine what they look like if they still had him on the team and their secondary on defense? He was tearing up for those guys.
They got injuries, and there's still guys come in, and they still play hard.
Because they have a team built with good guys.
Yeah.
Like the Packers 97 team, was that a bunch of superstars? Look at how many Hall of Famers we have. It took us years to get Leroy Butler on there. Reggie White was not the same Reggie White that he was in the 80s. He was a shell of himself. He was getting the Reggie White sack fund at the end. He still had 3 sacks against Drew Bledsoe, who can't move, yes. But other than that, you're not talking about a guy who was like, you know, I mean, he was still really, really, really good. I'm not saying he wasn't good, but he wasn't like the super, super duper star. I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame because of his Eagle days, not necessarily his days with the Packers. But that was a team of good players all together making things happen. Did Desmond Howard do anything other than that 1 year he was return man for the Packers? No. Was he really that great? Or did we have one hell of a Packer frickin' special teams unit with Lamont Hollenquist and Keith McKenzie and Jeff Thomason and Bernardo Harris and guys like that out there busting ass on special teams, making it easy for Desmond Howard to return stuff for the 1 year he was actually good when he was a Packer. Otherwise, it wasn't good.
Ooh, 0-0. How you doing? John, William G, some others, Viking Mo, Eric Gardner tonight. But Zero's got an idea. Says we need a bruising head coach like Dan Campbell. I say we give Charles Woodson a call. Well, it would be nice to get some more former players as coaches.
You know who I would love to get as the head coach of the Packers next year? I think Matt LaFleur should be canned. You know who I would like to see?
Who?
A guy we saw in the other field last on Sunday, Brian Flores.
Ooh.
I would love to see Brian Flores as the Packers head coach. Can you imagine the crazy defensive schemes we'd have there?
And then not only that, will he turn around the culture though for the team, and they play that way? Because that's it's always the question, Ben, right? Because you can't change all the players. It's easier to change a coach.
Look at the Vikings. Ask Mo. Mo,
right.
Leave a comment, please. What was the Vikings defense ranked last year? And then look at the way the Vikings defense is playing this year with the same guys. Matter of fact, they have less guys. They got rid They got rid of 2 guys who went to the Browns who have made the Browns better. Like, Za'Darius is not good against the run, but he's a pass rusher. And they also lost Tomlinson or whatever to the Browns. He was with the Vikings last year, I think. And the Browns have one of the best defenses in the league. And the Vikings lost both those guys. And they lost Eric Kendricks.
Right.
Well, and like what kind of up? And they lost Peterson at corner. They got a bunch of young guys in the secondary, except for Harrison Smith. But they're playing a good scheme and they're doing crazy stuff and they're making plays. I mean, they should have a lot more wins if it wasn't for their dumb fumbles and drop passes and picks and stupid crap they did in the first couple of games. With TJ Hawkinson dropped 25,000 balls because he had so much money in his hand he couldn't hang on to the ball. That was what happened, right? I'm just saying, we need a team, we need a coach who's tough. And right now, because these guys are not afraid. If they don't perform, it doesn't matter. They can talk shit. They can talk trash. They can be, like what's going to happen to him? Josh Myers plays like dog shit. His coach comes out last week and says he's the best player he's ever played all year, or his whole career, which isn't saying much because he sucks. But you can't tell me you got a guy who's better than on the team. And how come Sean Ryan can't see the field? He's a 3rd-round pick. John Runyon's not under contract after this year. And if he can't even go the right way, and Zach Tom's got to tell him, dude, you went the wrong way on that play. What the hell? Get Sean Ryan out there at freaking right guard. He can't be much worse.
Right.
And maybe he'll be better. We saw in the Broncos game, Quinn Miners ate Kenny Clark for lunch. He kicked the shit out of him. I would have loved to have Quinn Miners on this team, a Wisconsin guy. Yep. But no. Goody won't draft a Wisconsin guy.
He doesn't draft football players. He's got to try to get that next.
I don't want Jim. He's got a Jim Harbaugh in freaking prime time. And
they're just looking to try to get like a tough guy culture in here. But
okay, but they're dumb.
But here's the question I want you to ask. This is a question I want to ask everybody, right? How many Packer players that were stars on the Packers, or these guys the Packers valued and signed back, and then they drafted super high, and they went to another team and did anything?
Yeah, none.
The lower round picks that the Packers didn't value, those guys did stuff. Micah Hyde. Other guys. I can't think
of much more, really.
There's some other guys, but
really, I don't. Who?
But here's the other thing. Do you really think now?
Frank Zombo, I guess he went to the.
Do you really think if Kenny Clark went to another team, what would he be?
He wouldn't even start.
If Jair Alexander went to another team, would he be tearing it up?
No, but they'd have to play him because he thinks he's the best.
Mm-hmm. Although he's gotten exposed by this year alone, Drake London, Jordan Addison, so very different types of receivers, right? He can't stay with a bigger guy, can't stay with a little guy. What good is he? Like, think about these guys. Devondre Campbell, there were all these rumors. Devondre Campbell might go to the Eagles. I was like, please, yes, Eagles, take him. But that didn't happen either. He's not good.
Because they couldn't afford it. They couldn't trade him because of the contract.
He made 14 tackles, and you didn't even notice on Sunday. Right? I mean, if these guys, I don't care what the Packers tell you or what they drafted him at or how much money they paid him, if they don't produce on the field, what the hell good are they? They're no good. So we need football players, Ben. And the guys you talked about are the guys the Packers let go. Micah Hyde is exactly what you talked about before. A guy who's maybe not going to be the most amazing athlete, or he might not be the biggest superstar cornerback safety that entered the league, but he just does a lot of stuff well, and he's smart, and he knows what the hell is going on, and he's a guy you can count on. Yes, give me some of that. And circling back to Rasul, they just gave away a guy that's exactly like that.
Yeah.
Just freaking gave him away. Like, and I heard this spin too about, well, look what you did. I mean, you took a guy who was just a castaway, signed as a free agent for dirt cheap, and you got a 3rd-round pick for him. So you did kind of get something out of that. You had a good player that you could rely on, who was one of the best players on your team and a leader, and you just send him off. Now, good for him. Like you said, I am happy for him. I hope the Bills do something. I've always been kind of rooting for the Bills since they had all those losses in the Super Bowls in the 90s to kind of get back and do something. And I would tell you right now, if it were up to me, I would love to see the Lions and the Bills in the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
Because then one of those two teams would win a goddamn Super Bowl. And
Those are my two favorite teams right now. I don't know if I could be a Packer fan. I mean, I'm still a Packer fan, but it's really hard. And I'm going to be very critical of every single thing from now on. So this show is not going to be very fun. If you're a Packer fan and you're looking for positive fun, there ain't going to be much here. Unless somehow these receivers start waking up and doing something and stop dropping balls and running around wrong routes and all this kind of crap. Because right now, the only guys I have faith in are TJ Slayton, Rudy Ford, Quay Walker, I guess. On defense, I can't think of anybody else I have any faith in at all on defense other than those three. I mean, Devontae Wyatt sometimes, but he gets tired and then whatever.
Yeah.
And then on offense, faith in Zach Tom, Aaron Jones when he's healthy. That's it. We've only got 5 players on this team that are worth a pinch of salt. I mean, that's fucking pathetic. And your coaches don't know how to use the players we do have. These guys all have some sort of strength.
Right.
And the coaches don't know how to use it. Repeatedly, Matt LaFleur says, "Oh, that was a bad call by me. Oh, that was my bad. I don't, we got to make it. We got to look in and see what I'm asking these guys to do." It's been 5-6 weeks of this shit. If you can't figure it out by now, you're not a coach. You're not a good coach.
He also has no answers whenever they ask him, like, why couldn't you do anything? He has no answers.
And I'll say this. Tom Silverstein has been talking about this for a couple of weeks about saying, maybe you just bring in some sort of like old school consultant guy. What I would do is I would call Mike Holmgren today. And I'd say, hey, Mike Holmgren, all we want is for you to come in just one day a week and help give us some ideas, talk over some stuff. I mean, a former Super Bowl head coach, Super Bowl winning head coach, took 2 separate teams to the Super Bowl, and both those teams were selling dwellers stink pots, in the words of Mark Tauscher, before Holmgren got to both of them. And he turned both of those teams around and got them to the Super Bowl, and they should have won with the Seahawks. They got screwed by the refs. We all know that. But that's besides the point. Bring Mike Holmgren in as a consultant. Not every day. Fly him in once a week to just talk and go over some things and get some ideas. Yes. Has he been sitting around doing nothing for a long time? Yes. But it's a guy who's been there and done that and knows things. And this is what Tom Silverstein said. I'm saying Mike Holmgren. He said just bring some sort of guy in as a consultant, like anybody, like somebody, Dick Vermeil or whatever, some guy. It doesn't even have to be a coach who won a Super Bowl. It could be just a coach who's been around for years and years, a defensive genius or an offensive coordinator genius who's been around for a bunch of years. Wade Phillips, is he out there just to be a consultant on defense? Just something to have a different voice in the room of a guy who's been there and done that. And Silverstein asked LaFleur about that on Monday. Is this something you thought about? Making changes to, the structure of your coaching staff and or bringing in an outside source as a consultant. And Matt LaFleur's answer was, we're just going to we're going to make changes with what we do. But we're not bringing, that's it. He's not changing any of the structure. He's not bringing anybody outside voice in. Nothing's going to change. And everybody knows the definition of insanity is to do the same shit and expect some new result. So apparently Matt LaFleur is insane. And these are good. That's a good idea. When Tom Silverstein said that, he said it probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, where he said, he's like, I don't know, like the Vikings brought in Dick Duran or something last year. Yeah, he's not a well-known guy, but he was a Packer defense coordinator type guy back in the 90s with us. Mm-hmm. He's been around and he knows some stuff. Yeah, he was head coach of the Bears for a while. We're not asking him to come in and be our head coach. We're asking him to come in and give us some ideas. What he's seen in 30 freaking years of coaching. Just once a week, come in and throw us a bone. Give us some ideas. And there's no, I can't explain. What am I looking for? Just innovation. There's no innovation. There's no leadership by LaFleur.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asked him about, hey, somebody asked him on Monday, hey, LaFleur, back in the 90s, there were some guys who were coming, and a couple times, 90s, early 2000s, where teams were kind of losing records. And I talked to some of the players, and the guys were coming in, they were worried for their jobs. Like, they were concerned about coming in and getting chewed out by the coaches and this and that, and, losing their jobs and stuff. Like, is there come a time where maybe you got to kind of be tougher on these guys, or is that just not the way the NFL works anymore? And LaFleur's like, well, I'm going to be honest to me. He's like, I can't change who I am. He's like, we're going to go over the plays and we're going to show them, we show them when there are things that are wrong and what they need to fix. But they're not afraid.
Right.
I mean, Jair,
there's no accountability. Right.
Think about it.
And LaFleur cannot, I mean, I said before, he's not a guy that can demand anything from anybody pretty much. Right. He's just he's too low key. He's too quiet. He's not tough enough. They don't take him serious. They don't respect him because he's young and hasn't accomplished a lot. It would be a lot different if you had a accomplished head coach. Guys would respect him just because they've had success in the league and like the ultimate success, like you're talking about. Like you said, if bringing Mike Holmgren, people will probably perk up and listen to that guy. Or if you brought in, like you said before, multiple times, Leroy Butler to talk to your defensive backs or coach him up, or Charles Woodson for that matter.
Or Sterling Sharp to talk to wide receivers.
Sterling Sharp. Yeah, I mean, dude, there's some people, right? But I understand the younger generation is a lot different, and they tend to not play through injuries. They tend to there's all these other things that are going on there. It's a lot different than it used to be. I get it all, but there still is a way. I mean, there still are teams out there who are getting a lot out of their players, that are getting maximum effort and maximum buy-in from their guys. And it is clear watching this team, and not just this year, but for the last several years, the Packers have not had that. The Packers have not had commitment and buy-in from the guys on the team. And, in past years, there was fracturing, and last year Rodgers caused some fracturing and division, but we thought that you took Rodgers out of the equation. Okay, now LaFleur can step into his own and lead the way he wants to, and he's not doing it. I don't know if it's just not part of his personality, if it's not in him to be that type of leader. Well, then you got to get some leaders. You need to. They have to have it. They have to have people to follow that they respect, that will also get their attention when they're not performing. And right now, like you said, zero accountability. They just shipped away a guy who was trying to get accountability from people in Rasul. So I don't know what you got. I am concerned that the rest of the season is just going to be a total disaster mess because people, people are, if you screw up, who cares? Who they going to replace you with?
Zero's asking, was Rasul Douglas a team captain? No, Zero, because we have no team captains this year.
Right. We have no team captain.
Because last year, Jair Alexander got whiny and bitchy because he wasn't a team captain. So this year, instead of where LaFleur usually has 6 team captains, 2 for on offense, 2 on defense, and 2 on special teams, he chose to do 0 and do the 3 captains per week thing. And this week's captains, I can't remember exactly who they were. I can't. Oh, they weren't good though. I know that much. But last week's was Runyon and I don't know, guys that suck. It doesn't matter. And they're picking the guys that they pick for the captains are like not even leaders on the team. It's like They're just giving everybody a chance. Oh, you're a captain this week. You know what? We're going to make you. Is John Runyon a leader on this team?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't think he is. I mean, if he is, that's pretty sad. When Zach Tom's telling him he's wrong, and he's only been here for a year and a half, and he knows more than freaking Runyon. He's been here for almost 4 years.
And I'm sorry, your center on the offensive line, your center needs to be a leader. He needs to know what the hell everybody's supposed to do. He needs to know everything that's going on. And he needs to be a guy that can, when people are doing shit wrong, can call them out and get them together. And Josh Myers can't even block a guy that's right in front of him. He falls in his face.
How can he hold any of his other teammates on the offensive line responsible for their play when he is so bad?
I don't know.
This isn't the days of Scotty Wells and, guys like that. James Campen for a while. Frankie Bag of Donuts.
Bag of Donuts. Even Mike Flanagan was pretty good.
Mike
Like a
Flanagan.
bunch of these dudes from the Packers history. Corey Linsley was pretty good. Like a lot of these guys are pretty good. But
So
freaking
what we're looking at here is, was Matt LaFleur the correct hire for the transition from Mike McCarthy to a new coach who can get the most out of Aaron Rodgers? I think that was a good hire, because we needed a guy who, because let's face it, Bruce Arians, he said it with his own, when they said something to him about coming out of retirement to be coach of the Packers, he's like, I don't want to coach that team. No freaking way in hell would I coach that team. Yet he went to Tampa Bay and he traded for, or got Tom Brady right away, and was super happy and won a dang Super Bowl. He was happy to coach a Tom Brady-led team, but he didn't want to come anywhere near an Aaron Rodgers-led team, because Rodgers is a diva baby who needs to be, they knew they needed a guy who would just be like, oh, okay, Rodgers, sure. Okay, yep, we'll do whatever you say. And LaFleur was the perfect guy for that. It let Rodgers be the leader, and Rodgers is an amazing talent. Problem was, after a while, his leadership took a dive because he stopped giving a shit about the team and cared more about his buddies and making sure his numbers are good. And the LaFleur hire allowed him to just be himself and just, take over the team. And I'll still go back to this for as long as I live. It's very hard to hold your top paid players accountable as a head coach when you have no ownership, because they make more money than you. So technically, it's almost like they are the CEOs in the boardroom of the team. Jair, Kenny Clark, David Bakhtiari, even Aaron Jones makes more money than Matt LaFleur and Goody do. Devondre Campbell, Elton Jenkins, they all make more money than Matt LaFleur makes. How can you possibly tell them what to do when they make more money than you?
You didn't name a single guy that's playing well right there.
Well,
all that money
those
and
are all the
every
high-paid
one of
guys. Those are all the high-paid guys on the team right now.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
They're either not playing, or they're hurt, or they're not good.
Is there another team in the NFL that's, I'm sure there are. I'm sure the Raiders and others have lots of money tied up in guys who are just highly underperforming, including Devontae Adams, who drops a easy pass last night. And then, he was obviously pissed about other things, but I'm like, hey, there's some plays you left out there too, dude. So whatever.
Zero's asking if Bill Belichick would be a good head coach. Like, if
Ooh,
the
of
Patriots
course
tank and they let him go, and then the Packers.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I would say. First of all, Bill Belichick we'd have to fire Goody too, because Belichick would only do it if he was the GM and the head coach. And Bill Belichick, the GM, I don't trust.
Right,
so no, I don't think Bill Belichick is the correct answer there. But I do believe that for a team like the Packers, okay, at this point in this current NFL structure, where the players are making way too much money, because even in the 90s they didn't make this much type of money. Like, they made good money, but it wasn't like that much higher than the coaches. Nowadays, quarterbacks, edge rushers, corners, left tackles are just making crazy salaries, way, 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 way more money than the coaches are. At least like Matt LaFleur type coach, right? The Packers need to, if they replace LaFleur, it's going to have to be some sort of coach with some sort of pedigree, I would think.
Mm-hmm. Is Mike Vrabel going to get fired by the Titans? Would that work out?
I don't know, but he'd probably sign his brother to be the wide receiver coach, and then I'd have to be mad about that. So no, I want Jason Vrabel gone. I think it's, when the receivers make that many mistakes, it's time. Jason Vrabel needs to be gone. He stinks.
Hey, Todd points out that the Cardinals have a boatload of money tied up in Kyler Murray. What a bust. Yeah, there's plenty of other teams. I get it. Other teams have screwed up too.
Yes, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Todd. The Packers used to be an exemplary team. One of the top 10, like a Steelers, like a Eagles, like a Chiefs. These teams that were perennial, good, good, solid foundation, good organization, run well type team. Mm-hmm. And now we're on the level of the Cardinals. Think about that. We're almost going back to what we were in the 70s and the 80s.
Oh, stinks.
Based on the talent level of our coaching, the effort of our players, the leadership of our GM, head coach, and president are all terrible leaders. Gutekunst doesn't know how to talk to anybody. He has zero personable skills. We've learned that from Aaron Rodgers, and that's one thing I'll give Aaron Rodgers credit for. He was correct. Gutekunst does not care about the players.
Well, and you can't trust what he says either, because he's
Right. He's a
always
lying
fake
sack of
and
shit.
full of bull crap. Yeah.
And LaFleur is the exact opposite. He can talk to players, but he doesn't know how to lead the men. He doesn't know
Right.
how to come up with plans. He's not innovative. And then Mark Murphy, we all know, is a bumblefart turnip truck driver who has no idea what the hell he's doing. So we have become the laughing stock of the NFL. We're in the bottom 10% now. We're the bottom 10 teams. We're the Cardinals. And like the Bengals have now taken our spot. The Bengals used to be the goofball team.
Yeah.
Now that they've got, a decent head coach, they got the solid quarterback, and they've signed into a long contract here, and they've turned things around. The Bengals are now becoming what the Packers were, and we have fallen and taken their spot as one of the worst teams in the league, structure-wise and leadership, outside like the front office type coaching, front office leadership problems. When we had LaFleur, or when we had Mike Holmgren, Ron Wolf, and even Mike McCarthy, who was a tough-nosed guy, we had pretty good leadership there. McCarthy made a lot of dumb bubble fart mistakes, but at least he was a tough-nosed, hard-nosed leader, and he knew he knew Micah Hyde was just a football player. That's one of my favorite quotes from Mike McCarthy. When people ask about Micah Hyde, he would just shake his head and go, Micah Hyde is a football player. He's like, I want guys like Micah Hyde on my team because they're just football players. I can't tell you, he doesn't run the fastest. He doesn't he doesn't have the best agility scores, all this other crap, but he just freaking is a football. Like, that's all you have to say. And Mike McCarthy knew that much.
Yeah.
And Ted Thompson didn't. And Ted Thompson didn't even talk to him and offer him a contract and let him go to the Bills.
Ugh.
But that's what's happened, everybody, Packer fans. It's going to be really hard now. It's going to be hard to watch this team and know I can't find hope in this coaching staff, in this general manager, and in this president to somehow turn this around. Perhaps it all started because of Aaron Rodgers. Okay? And I'm going to go back to that. Because I think Diva Baby is part of the reason why this has become the mess that it is. But because if McCarthy was still here, I mean, first of all, I don't know if he should still be here, but I don't know. He got lazy. He let Rodgers take over. Rodgers became a diva man. He tanked the season that year, 2018, so he could get canned for way less than what LaFleur's showing. LaFleur got fired 10 times over compared to what McCarthy got fired for. So I don't know. If somebody else can tell me some kind of hope, show me some hope. I'm not seeing much. Like I said, there's 5 guys on this team that I think, I would start a team with. 5 out of 53. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's bad.
Well, hey, come on now. I'd say both our kickers are pretty good. Our punter and our kicker are looking pretty good.
Well, our punter, I don't know if he's that great. Our kicker,
he's kicking the ball. He's kicking the ball pretty good. He's punting it well. The coverage isn't always that great, but he's putting it up there. He had like a 62-yard punt right out of the gate. They just didn't get down there and cover it too good. Yeah. But like our kickers are pretty good. But I really think, and I don't know, he jumped off. He's been good, but TJ Slayton really flashed in the game against the Vikings. Okay. And then part of that's probably because the Vikings offensive line is still not very good, but also because
they traded away Ezra Cleveland today. So they must be good enough that they don't need a solid starter. He was a starter for them.
He's doing well. And if you look at other teams, okay, and this goes back to kind of the premium positions versus the guys that can impact the game more, which are guys generally in the middle, especially on defense. If you have a 330-pound guy in the middle that can blow up a team's center and screw up a bunch of plays, that guy can impact almost every play that he's on the field for. That's a guy to build around. So there is hope with that, but you have to put other complementary pieces up there too. You have to build this team the way, and this is going to be totally reverse for the Packers mentality, Ben, and it can't happen all this season, but you have to build the team the way the Lions build the team. You have to build it on the offensive line and the defensive line first, and then you filter in the rest. Because those other dudes, like the freaking Lions, have some beastly guys on the defensive line. That helps their defense a lot. And then they're aggressive. And on their offensive line, one of the best in the league, right? None of the guys are superstars, but they're all really good. If you build your lines up, which I've been calling for years, and we know, like anybody that knows football knows, if your line stinks, you're probably in trouble. So if they do that and they get it right, again, I don't know why the Cowboys always draft Badgers and the Packers never do, but the Cowboys have had some pretty good Badgers on
And
their
the
teams.
Steelers.
And the Steelers draft
Keanu
Badgers.
is knocking some dudes on their asses with the Steelers defense right now.
Yep.
He's doing great at D tackle over there.
Even TJ Edwards as a linebacker, who's now on the Eagles, right? Or was on the Eagles, now he's somewhere else. But that guy's another good guy. Like the Badgers have some pretty good players they put out there, and the Packers just won't draft any of them. I don't know why. But anyway, besides the point is start with the lines, get them right, make an effort. Stop drafting corners in the first round because you get them wrong anyway. Draft linemen in the first round. Build that freaking up. And if you get a chance to get some big defensive disruptive guys, get those guys on your team. You cannot have too many of those guys.
I'm going to tell you something. From watching the tape, when you see a double team on Kenny Clark, it's fucking pathetic.
Yeah.
He doesn't even do any. He doesn't move. Doesn't do anything. TJ Slayton gets double teamed. He rips through it. He fights through it. Or he'll hold up the guys and like move the pocket. Like he still is fighting through it. Kenny Clark just stands there. I mean, he is so useless. Kenny Clark is the most useless player on this team, and I'm going after him. I'm done.
Even more than Jair? Come on.
Okay, maybe not. You're right.
Jair's pretty bad. Did you watch his full interview? Did you watch his
No, I did not. I just want to make it real clear. I'm not saying Kenny Clark is the most useless. I'm saying compared to the amount they're getting paid for. But Kenny Clark is still
$27 million.
A decent player if he was making like $3 million a year.
Well, 3
not
million.
Even 10. No. He ain't worth 10 million.
I was going to give him 10.
Whoa. No. He's not worth 10 million. He's worth 3 million, maybe. Because he is 298 pounds or 300 pounds or whatever at 6. I think he's like 6'1". I don't think he's even 6 feet tall. He's like a little shrimp. But I mean, Mike Daniels is tougher and stronger than he ever was. I can tell you that.
It was awesome.
But anyway, so here's the scoop. Moving forward, I am ripping the shit out of everybody. So get ready. You guys want to have some fun.
Todd says he hates to say it. I hate to say it, but your analysis is spot on. Well, Todd, thank you. Appreciate that. We need a new coaching staff, GM, and clean house. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
If they're going to clean the whole team, the whole players out, right? Might as well get rid of the. Do you trust Goody to put a team back together?
No, because he's going to keep chasing athletes and not build an actual team.
All Goody does is he builds for the next 3 years. Every draft is for the next 3 years. If you keep building for the next 3 years, you're never there to win now. And by the time those guys are good, you get a bunch of new guys who don't know what the fuck they're doing. So now we're full of a team, but nobody knows what's going on. Go ahead. Sorry.
Like we also said, then you're chasing the next superstar at whatever position, and you're not filling out your team. And that's why the Packers have shitty run defense for 15 years, pretty much, right? Because they don't fill out the team. They're either weak at, when they have decent guys on the line, they're weak at linebacker. When they get better linebackers, they're weak here or there. It's like, and you need to draft the right kind of guys. Like I'm going to go back to the Lions because I was telling Dad the other night, I'm like, I really hope the Lions win the Super Bowl this year. Because the Packers have no shot.
Now I want the Bills to win. Well,
the Bills too. Okay. I really want to see if we get a Bills Lions Super Bowl, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd be in for that.
But, I want the Lions to win the Super Bowl sometime in the next couple of years because they deserve it. Their fan base, you see how crazy their fans have been. I mean, come on. And on top of it, they got a bunch of good guys on that team overall. They're not a bunch of dickheads and all that. And Jared Goff got pissed on, and he deserves it too. And they all do. I like it. I like it a lot. So, and they're just a tough football team. And that is the biggest thing. If you've watched Packers football and you've been a Packers fan for a long time, ask yourself this honest and be honest with yourself when you ask this question. Have you ever felt confidence in a 3rd and 1 and the Packers on defense, they're going to stop the other team?
Have you ever felt confidence on 3rd and 8 that they're going to stop from getting the first down?
I know, but this is about toughness. Have you felt confident when it's 3rd and 1 the Packers are going to get that first down?
Oh, get the first down. No,
but both sides. On defense, are they going to stop the other team?
they're
And
never
on
going to stop
offense,
them.
are they going to convert?
See, but the Packers don't give up 3rd and 1. They give up 4th and 1. See, because it's
I know.
3rd and 8, and then they give up 7 yards, and then it's
Yes, I
4th and
know.
1, and then the
Yes.
team goes for it. Though actually, the Vikings kicked a field goal in the
I
first
know.
quarter. I was like, "What are you guys doing? Just go for it. Do you not watch the games? Packers aren't going to stop you."
I know, that's hilarious. But that is one of the big points. Our team has not been physical, is not tough. Does not have enough guys who are tough enough and physical enough to win football games against the good teams. We've been relying on spot magical plays here and there to try to put another team screwing up from time to time to win a bunch of games over the last many years. And now we can't rely on that anymore. And we're still not tough enough. So we're getting our asses handed to us. And the Packers will continue to get their asses handed to them until they get some tougher football players and actually fill out a roster instead of chasing talent. And I don't care. Anyone that wants to tell me you draft, I have thought this forever, and I've never understood the argument for best player available in the draft. No. I want guys who are going to be on the field. If I draft a guy in the first 3 or 4 rounds, I want that to be a guy, hopefully, that I can put in a spot on the field right away if possible, or as soon as possible. I do not want to draft whoever I think the best athlete is and stack up 4 cornerbacks and have nobody at inside linebacker and nobody at D tackle. That doesn't help my team win games. So I've never bought it. You can argue it with me all you want. I still don't buy it. Best player available, that's saved for like round 6 and 7 when you're taking some shots on guys. Maybe they turn out great. Otherwise, first couple of rounds, I want starters. I want guys who can fill holes on my team and are quality players. And the Packers do not draft that way, but they're a draft and develop team. That's why we're in the boat we're in.
The Packers draft the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Most of the time. They take the potential superstars with the first pick instead of the solid 100% starter. And then in the late rounds, they get guys who are good players who can come in right away and contribute.
Right.
Like a Zach Tom and, TJ Slayton, though he didn't come in right away. But I mean, guys like that. Carrington Valentine, who's coming in and playing pretty decent. And it's not his fault that he's playing off 5 yards he should be playing bumper up coverage, and they don't do it. Like, that's everything. Goody is drafting guys. I don't know what he's doing. Like, if you play a zone defense, why are we drafting bump and run corners with long arms? I don't get it.
Right.
Like, it's just dumb. So, okay, I don't know. I have
final thoughts for you before we go.
Final thoughts is we gave away our best player, my favorite player on the team. I'm super fucking pissed. And my jersey is now useless, but I'm still going to wear it because it's got his name on it. It's Rasul. Damn it. He's the man. I love this guy. He's the best. He had the best 2-year career in the history of the Green Bay Packers, in my opinion, from start to finish. From when he got on the field to the last time he played on the field, he made plays the entire time. There was no development stage for Rasul. He came in and contributed from the start, and when he left, he was still the best player on the freaking team. He only improved his positioning because the team got rid of all their good players, and Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, who maybe were better than him. But really, there aren't much guys better than Rasul. Rasul's been their best defensive player since he walked on the field, and now he's gone. And so the fact that you gave up a swap from a 5th to a 3rd, a high 5th to a late 3rd, which is really 40 spots. You moved 40 spots, which is less than what you gave up for Christian Watson. You traded 2 second-round picks to get Christian Watson, pretty much, if you think about it.
Christ.
And the impact of Christian Watson compared to the impact of Rasul Douglas is not even close. And the fact that you're paying Jair Alexander 4 times the amount you pay Rasul Douglas,
it's ridiculous.
Is ridiculous too. So, final thoughts are this. I'd be surprised if this team wins another game all year, based on the coach, based on the coaching staff, based on the general manager always drafting for athletic ability instead of actual football playing ability, and the fact that the bubble fart is the president of the team who doesn't have any idea what the hell's going on around him. It's obvious that LaFleur and Gutekunst are on two different wavelengths. Goody keeps drafting guys that can play man coverage and a penetrating defensive line is supposed to be quick and penetrating. And Joe Barry wants to play zone defense with guys that just sit back in zones and do nothing. Makes no sense. I don't get it. Matt LaFleur is, when you get into the red zone on the 1 yard line, he's calling shotgun running plays to AJ Dillon. Don't understand. Get in the fucking under center with your quarterback with I formation and run it up the freaking gut to get 1 freaking yard, and run that play 4 times in a row if you have to get 1 yard. And double team blocks on the D tackles to move them backwards. Not this zone running scheme or a pulling guard, and then your center has to teleport over 5 yards to try to block the D tackle who he missed by a mile and gets to the backfield and tackles your freaking running back before he can even get ahead of steam because he's starting in the freaking shotgun. Matt LaFleur is a fucking idiot. There, I said it. Fire his ass. Mike McCarthy got fired for far less. And he was a Super Bowl winning coach.
That's true.
Who took a team with 15 guys on IR or whatever the hell it was and took them to the Super Bowl and won it. With a quarterback who was awesome back then, by the way. Aaron Rodgers was amazing and awesome. It wasn't until later he turned into a diva baby asshole. Pardon all my swearing, but I'm fucking pissed because my favorite guy is gone. My favorite guy is gone, and I know my other favorite guy, Aaron Jones, is a shell of himself because they won't play him, and he won't be on the team next year. So both of my 2 favorite guys next year will not be on the team, and I don't know what to do. I don't know who to root for. I don't know who to freaking even. I don't know. I feel like I did back when they drafted Jordan Love. I want to say why really loud 3 times because I don't understand. I don't understand how this happened. How do you go from a 13-win team, 3 teams in a row, making the playoffs, to this disaster area, bumblefart in a year? I mean, a year and a half ago, we were in the freaking playoffs at a home game.
Yeah.
And now we can't even score 3 points in the first half of a game? We can't get a first down until 5 minutes left in the second quarter? I mean, what the hell? A lot of things need to happen. And I think the start is the coach. I mean, you got Rich Bisaccia. You got Rich Bisaccia on the staff right now. He can lead a team. Now, I don't know who we could possibly have call offensive plays on this staff. I don't think any of the offensive coaches can call a damn play. Steno can't call a play.
Yeah, Steno.
Jason Vrabel can't call a play. I don't know Ben Sermon. I don't know any of these guys. Luke Butkus, can any of these guys call offensive plays and run a team? I don't think so. We're going to be in some deep shit if we fire LaFleur right now. We might have to not fire him just because we need somebody to call freaking plays for us. Though, to be quite honest, they seem to only be able to move the ball when they run 2-minute offense, and Jordan Love's calling the plays. So maybe Jordan Love should call the damn plays. I don't know. That's the only time they can move the ball. They sure can't move the ball when LaFleur calls them. That's what I'm going to say. You got Big Sakia right now on the team. Give him a shot. He's a leader of men. I don't really believe in Big Sakia.
This is just role reversal. Big Sakia head coach.
Tell Matt LaFleur, you're like, you know what? You can still have your pay. We're going to change your title. You are now going to be offensive coordinator and assistant head coach. And Big Sakia, you're going to be special teams coordinator and head coach. You guys just swap positions. I think, honest to God, that's the only way I think they can save this season.
Sure. I'm
give
down.
me any type of hope.
I'm down for it.
But I don't think LaFleur is a great play caller anyways. So
I feel bad that you have to experience what I experienced a couple years ago when they cast Lukey away.
Yeah, but at least Lukey, they did it in the offseason.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm losing my guy halfway through
because they didn't think they'd get anything for him. I mean, the other sad part is
they really didn't get anything for Rasul.
Right. And he was the only one that another team would even probably want. No, but they don't want any of the rest of these guys. Just a heads up.
Zach Tom, they trade for Zach Tom in a heartbeat.
Zach Tom, yeah. But he's too cheap, and so they had never.
Yeah, well, he's way too valuable. They'll never. Yeah, Zach Tom is by far the most valuable player on this team right now.
Todd has a very important question. We need an update on the wavy TP. Got any updates on
Oh.
that? Still feeling good about it? Still feeling good about wavy TP?
Yeah, I took a dump today when I got home from work, so it worked really good.
Tears just as well, and you can hear the fact that it's torn.
Hey,
Did
have you
you
got
dem you
some
did
wavy TP for Dad? Did you?
No, 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 no. I mean, I can't spend all that money on
Well, I know
wait
Dad's going to be coming
fancy
here
toilet
in
paper like you.
like December. It's not. It's more expensive. It's just replaced it. Charmin is now. Just
Oh,
now they just only do wavy TP. Tear.
smart. Okay.
They don't go. They're not giving you the option of innovation or old crap. They're just like, nope, this is the way it's going to be. This is so much better. It's a waste of our time to produce this garbage that we used to produce. Now we only produce the good stuff. So
Just remember, Charmin, you could be the first official sponsor of the
yeah.
Packer Outright Opinions Poo Show, and we would promote the hell out of you, Charmin. No doubt. We already do.
Well, we already are.
Yeah. All right. We are going to call it. You guys, this is a sad day. Sad couple days, actually, but definitely a sad day today with one of our best players gone. It's going to be a rough rest of the season. We'll see what happens, but we're all Packer fans in the end, so we'll hang in there. And probably to make the NFL season more enjoyable for yourself, maybe root for the Bills, root for the Lions a little bit as well. Those two teams have been held down for a long time, and hopefully they get some good results. But Ben, it's still a great jersey, and he was an awesome Packer, no doubt. Rasul Douglas. Very few guys ever came to the Packers team and made as big of an impact as that guy did. And the Packers just gave him away for basically nothing. So take that for what it is. Green Bay Packers fans, be good, stay good. We'll catch you guys on Friday night.
Tell me why, baby, you